Hey guys, Michael J. Solar here with Blue Line Canine, and this May we are going to be doing a costume contest. That's right, a costume contest where you can get to dress your dog up as any Star Wars character, post them on your favorite social media with hashtag May the Force Be With You, and tag us at BLK9MD, and you'll be entering to win either free training or discounts across all of our programs. May the Force be with you.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Dog Talk Live. This is a special episode tonight. I'm being joined by our master trainer owner, Jeff Malzahn. Am I saying that even right? I have always been scared to say your last name.
It's Malzahn.
Malzahn. I can't even say Gardner, so I'm struggling everywhere today.
Gardner.
So at least I know how to spell it. That's always a plus, right? So I want to always start off every episode with a little bit of gratitude, and I have to say thank you everybody for watching, participating, and being a part of Blue Line Canine as we continue to grow and spread the dog training education across the world as possible we can. And tonight's episode is actually live in Clayton, North Carolina, in Instill Distilling Company, where I was actually earlier tonight. I was a guest on the Drinking Brothers Tailgate Show. Is that right?
Tailgate Legends.
Tailgate Legends. Thank you for that one. So before we get started, as I did promise everybody that we were going to be doing some free dog training tonight. So what we want to do is I'm going to open up the chat, everybody. So if you're watching live, just to let you know, you can throw a comment in the questionnaire. All you have to do is throw a comment into the on your comment section, and we can see everything that you're doing. We can address your comments, talk about it. So if you're in the Raleigh area and you want to come out to Clayton, if you know where Clayton is, come join us at the Instill Distilling Company here in Clayton, North Carolina. I would love to have you here. You can, we'll be, any dogs that show up tonight, we're going to be getting free training. If you're watching home live because you couldn't make it, we're going to be sending you some dog training over there. But as you guys know, since last year, we opened up a location in the Raleigh, North Carolina area, and Jeff has been somebody that we've been talking about getting on the show. So I'm personally excited to finally have Jeff here on Dog Talk. So this is exciting to me because Jeff is doing everything he can not to, sniff his hands or something, because he is nervous as you wouldn't believe. If he could find a corner and hide right now, he probably would. If you notice, he's not looking at the camera. He's looking at the screen because he's so wondering what's going on. So if you guys have questions for Jeff, let's discuss. Let's bring it up. How's it doing? Okay, so Jim O'Brien, how's it going, guys? It's going great. I'm really excited about tonight. It's going to be a 2-hour long session, so it's going to be fantastic. Oh, we finally got Jeff. Yes, you got him. Look at that, Jeff. You got a fan club already watching, listening, and ready to learn some dog training. So, Jeff, just to get started, as you know, coming on board here, in case you guys didn't know, Jeff has actually been a dog trainer for quite some time prior to joining us in the Blue Line Canine team and brand. And he actually is starting to expand. He's opening his location in Gardner in the 4042 area, which we're hoping is June.
Yes, hoping beginning of June.
June, okay. You could talk a little more, Jeff. Stop being nervous. All right. So at the Instill Distilling Company, they are supplying us. So I'll let you guys in on a secret. One of my favorite beverage is in particular rum. So they're making phenomenal rum down here. The other thing that happened when the last time I was in the South, I got introduced to the drink called cheer wine. And tonight it's comboed. So I have a double combo going on here. And being a guest on the earlier show, well, you can guess, since the name of the show is the Drinking Brothers Tailgate Legends. So you can imagine what we were doing on that show and talking. So Jeff he's a little gun shy right now, but we're going to get these cheer wine shots in him and drinks in him. And I guarantee you by the end of tonight's episode, he will be teaching everybody live and in charge some real dog training. So let's give Jeff some support. Let's give him a thumbs up. If you guys are watching live on Facebook, go ahead and throw a little thumbs up to support Jeff for coming out of his shell tonight and facing some things that puts him in a little bit of anxiety. So let's see some thumbs up put on the comment section. And if you have a beverage at home, go ahead and drink it, drag it, and let's enjoy it. All right, Jeff. As we're getting started. We don't want to waste too much time. What are some of the big things that you have found down here in dog training, things with your clients? What are some of the common problems that you see coming around?
So probably the simplest things and the most common are My dog jumps on people. It pulls me when I would try and walk them, and it's reactive to dogs or people on leash.
All right. So, and is that more common in certain areas or just in general in the general area of where you're working and where Blue Line Canine has been established right here?
I think that's probably pretty common no matter where you go.
Okay. So what do you give us a quick tip that you think is a quick, easy way for people to, let's say, stop the jumping on people?
So what we always tell people is bend over and act like you're petting the invisible dog. So if there's a dog that comes up, wants to be greeted, if you
You're going to have to start, you walked away from the mic. It's a sensitive mic. You got to stay right on it.
If you lean over and act like you're petting a dog, the dog will come to your hand, and then it won't want to jump on you.
Yeah. So now, Jeff, didn't you just started to expand, right? You got your new location and yes. You have your first new employee, right?
I do.
Now, I wonder if that new employee is willing to turn the camera to herself and give her a little stuff, or maybe come on over here and just introduce yourself really quick. I love putting people on the spot because here's, not to throw them under the bus, but it's again, we have to, face our fears, right? Get out there, build the courage, build that out there. So I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hey, I'm Katie, originally from Wisconsin, moved here to North Carolina, took on dog training. My dad is a canine dog handler himself, so I've been around dogs basically my whole life.
Awesome. Hey, Katie, so now that you've been working with Jeff, it's been what, 3 months? 2 months. Yep. 2 months. Now, you said you grew up with dogs your entire life, right? So that means you have a huge law enforcement canine training background. With Blue Line Canine, since you come in, are you learning new things? Are you learning new techniques? Tell us a couple of things that maybe you took away from Jeff and I in the training that you worked with us.
Definitely knowledge. It's the big thing that I've learned. Just keeping it honest and work with the dog. I don't know, I'm put on the spot. You put me right on the spot. I'm learning so much each and every day. I'm kind of just soaking it all in with Mike here this week. You're definitely throwing a lot towards me and it's helping me, but yeah, it's a learning journey and I love every second of it.
Awesome. Hey, it looks like Jeff's getting a little bit he's going to be getting looser here in a second.
We just got shots.
No, you got it. You're supposed to do it now. It's the idea is to get you ready for that show. He's getting good. All right, Katie, thank you very much. So, listen, guys, we want to wait up a little bit, a couple more minutes here to get a little bit started, but we're going to get into so many different things tonight that you really could see so many different things. So this is really nice. If you guys could see over my back here, that's actually the distillery. And that is something I find to be really amazing as I drink the drinks that are made in that thing. And we're getting a little bit loosened up here. So I think what we're going to start off with, and if Jeff's okay, but why don't we start off talking about what's included in our puppy program and our puppy box? What do you think?
Sounds like a plan.
Hey, Katie, could you get us the puppy box? Fantastic. So Katie's going to be going over and getting us the puppy box, and we're going to be talking about a new program that we just started. It's called Dog Owner University, and it's our puppy program. So it's a reward-based, all-inclusive program. It's virtual training, so you get to get a membership onto our online academy, and it's a do-it-yourself stage program. So you get to pace yourself, learn as you go, really envelop into the dog training and train yourself as you do with your dog. It's a really phenomenal program. You could pace it as you need. You can watch the videos, you can practice, you have homework assignments, and you always have access to a trainer through the email, through that. Included in that program is our puppy box. So in our puppy box here, let me see that real quick. So what will happen is you would be sent, it's a little nerve-wracking here, a little tight spot because we have more set up for live training. But what we have here, if you guys are watching live, we have a nice little box that we sent to you in the mail. All right, and then inside the box, you get a little bandana. Very nice, right? You're going to get a treat pouch, a clicker, which with the nice part about this clicker in particular is that it's already attached to a treat pouch. So obviously if you have your treat pouch, you're going to have your clicker. Because one of the things that we found when trainers started working with trainers or people are working with clickers individual, they always go, where is that thing? Right. And then they wind up just giving it up. So in this case, we have that ready. Everything included in the program. We have our touch stick. Now, this is a great little program if you ever want to teach your dog into agility, service dog training. It's a really neat tool to get your dog into those things, makes things easier. It includes a 15-foot leash, 6-foot leash, treats, which are from Happy Howie's in this box, the Go Pets brush, and this is for enforcing grooming, and you'll also receive a copy of Puppy Training Made Fun and Easy. So this is also just more of a textbook refresher. So this is included in the online course or any other puppy program that you're doing with it. So if you do our Puppy Platinum program at one of our facilities, you would also get this, as well as the DOU Dog Owner University. And what we want to do, and I'm thinking what we could do is, what do you think, Jeff? What if we start off with some leash control? What do you think?
Sure.
All right. So let me see how we could set this up, because these mics are going to be a little bit of a pain. What do you think? All right. So I think what we can do is, if we're going to turn the camera slightly, and I'm going to have Jeff go ahead and show and demonstrate leash control as I explain it. What do you think? Sounds good?
Sounds good.
All right. So we have the leash inside that box that we can start with, and I'll get out of your way. I think I just made Jeff's day by getting him away from the microphone. So, right there.
6 foot or 15 foot?
It don't matter. It don't matter. So in this case, is that the long one? What leash is that one? 15-footer?
Yeah. Wow.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and start with the 15-foot leash. So if you want to go ahead and focus in on Jeff, he's right over my shoulder here. So you're good right there. You're good right there. So you'll see how the biggest thing that we think about when we talk about leash control in general is that when we're talking about holding a leash, and a lot of times what everybody always wants to do is hook their wrist, right? So Jeff's going to go ahead and do it. So the first thing you do is you hook your wrist, and then you wrap your knuckles. And you're like, oh, man, I wrapped it. So that's definitely what's going to give me control, because that's how I played tug of war as a kid. Well, the funny thing about that is this. When you hook or wrap your knuckles, as you can see here in the video, if everyone's good to see, I hope everyone's good to go. So you can see that his knuckles are wrapped in. If you can just show the young lady behind you as well, right? You can see his knuckles are completely wrapped here. And what will happen is, if a dog pulls on him, his knuckles are going to actually start to get injured. So what's going to happen is the tension on that leash is going to crush his knuckles, causing an internal injury, and it's going to make his brain say, release the pressure and follow the dog. So what will happen next is he'll undo his knuckles, but he's still hooked by his wrist. So now what happens, and this is what's even crazier, is because this is literally the number one way people typically hold their dog leash, is with the loop around their wrist and then the slack coming out of their hand. So then what happens is, when the leash gets pulled from the dog, now your wrist is getting separated, and it's causing an internal injury. All right. It's going to cause either tendonitis, carpal tunnel, and it's going to really cause this internal injury. So once again, your brain is going to tell you to follow the leash, right? So I'm going to tell you the little secret right now. This is actually the best way and the only way you should ever hold a leash. It's really simple, is to go ahead and take the loop and hook it over your thumb, just like Jeff has it there. Then from there, what you want to do is you want to put your palm up to the sky. And that's going to do, is allow the slack of the leash to come down over the chunky part of your hand and absorb the pressure over it. All right. So from there, if the dog starts to pull, Jeff, all he has to do is put his hand in between, underneath his nipple line, but above his belly, giving him the center of gravity. And what that's going to do is give Jeff the full capabilities of pulling and holding, right? So this is, a lot of times people are like, no, this is BS. There's no way. So what we're going to do really quick is we're going to ask for a volunteer. Anybody right now, there's not a whole lot of people here, but we're going to ask for anybody. Let's say any big guy. Come on. You want to try it? Leave your dog there. Come on over. Yeah, you. Oh, yeah. I take it back. We're going to use you real quick. All right, so this gentleman's going to come over, and Jeff is literally going to do leash control with him. So we can show you, if you want to move the camera slightly out so we get them both. All right, what we want you to do, sir. Now you guys, everybody can see him. How tall are you?
6'1".
6'1". Give me a guesstimate weight, because there's also a podcast.
189 pounds.
189 pounds. This guy's pretty big. I was about to say, I was like 189. I was like, this guy's BSing me right now. All right, 225. He's 6'1". I can tell you right now, he can probably bench press me, no problem. There's no joke. All right, so Jeff's going to ask him to hold the leash the wrong way. All right, so you either hook it to your wrist or wrap your hand around it. All right? Now, Jeff's going to pull you. So what we want you to do whatever you want to do to not let Jeff pull you. Okay. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Do whatever. You tell us when you're ready for Jeff to pull.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, gentlemen's ready? Jeff's going to pull. Now, as you guys can see, he's already coming. Well, you can't see if you're on the podcast, but you can see he's coming off his feet. He's losing this. He's going towards Jeff. Yep. All right? Now, let's just say we unwrap your knuckles, and we're only going to use his wrist at this point in time. So just the wrist and out the hand. Good to go? Over the whole hand. Yep, there you go. Hold that one there. Same thing. You tell Jeff when you're ready.
Go ahead.
As you notice, you're just stretched out, right? No big deal. All right, come on back. Now what we're going to ask you to do is take that loop, put it over your thumb, just like that. That's all you need to do. Face Jeff. Okay? All right, Jeff. Apply pressure. You can resist. Now, right now, hold that pressure. Just give him the pressure. Right now, are your toes digging in the ground?
Not as bad as they were.
They're not digging in. They're digging in like birds right now.
As bad as they were.
Yeah. So right now you have more strength, more ability, more everything, right?
Yep.
So that means if your dog started pulling, you have more strength right now than you would at any other time.
Absolutely.
That's pretty neat, right?
Yep.
So Jeff's going to show you one more thing, which is because you have a little dog over there. So a lot of times you want to pull up that slack, right? So Jeff is going to show you real quick how to get rid of the slack in your leash when you're holding it this way. Yep. So Jeff's going to put it over his loop, right over his thumb, all right? And what he does is then he's going to take the slack and droop it over the opening of his hand, so the palm of his hand. And then with his pointer finger, he's going to loop it over the pointer and bring it back inside the palm, creating an additional loop, but never over top of his wrist. So you can display it all to him in that way. So yeah, just like that. Loop it. Like that. Okay, make a fist, hold it straight there, right here like this. You'll notice like, all you have to do is slight resistance. Yeah. Right? So if you don't let me pull, so hold tight. Okay. No matter how hard, you're digging in, right? Yeah. So if you want, let's just say I'm a Husky now. You grab this over here with that hand. No, keep that there. You have a secondary loop. Now you have more strength. Right? Oh, party foul. Party foul. So it's pretty neat, right? Yeah, no worries.
That is cool.
So,
definitely tell the difference.
All right. So he said he could definitely tell the difference. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You could definitely tell the difference right here with something as simple as that. So we have a lot going on tonight, and we're going to get into some more things. So if you guys have some questions, feel free to go ahead and shoot it out to us. We don't have a big crowd here tonight. Everybody down here, it's a Tuesday night, so we're going to see how we get going. So any other questions? Now we now have leash control. And we're probably wondering what's the next big thing when it comes into, let's say, how to hold a treat. So do we have any treats available right now? No. All right. We don't have a treat with us right now. We don't want to pop open those things. You take a quick sippity sip.
Pizza crust.
That works. Show it off. All right. Jeff is improvising, and he's getting a little bit of a pizza crust for us. So again, ladies and gentlemen, this is a nice, fun night, relaxing, enjoying each other, and getting some free training in. So again, if you guys are having some difficulties jumping, building these things, and what we want to start off tonight with is, again, you want to have proper leash control in order to get your dog really providing and going with you, right? So if you're holding the leash right, you are gaining that control. The next big thing that a lot of people struggle with is the way to hold the treat. So a lot of times we hold it with our fingertips, and when we do that, it creates a very big problem in the way dogs learn, because they perceive that the treat is in your fingertips, which that means when you're eating M&Ms or eating some food that you may enjoy, the dog is literally thinking that the food is for them as well. And if the dog is thinking that, then you're setting yourself up for failure. That's when your fingers get nipped, your children or guests might get nipped. And we don't want that happening. So the best way to hold a treat, as you can see in Jeff's hands here, he has a little bit of a pizza crust. And what he's going to do, he's going to put it in between his pointer finger and his middle finger. All right, so it's going to be down here at the bottom in between the pointer and middle finger. So that way what he does is he'll put his thumb right over it, as you can see right in the camera. You can get a little closer to the camera so they can see it there. So anybody watching, so again, you want to put that little bit. Now he went a little big with the crust to show you guys, but he goes right in between those two. He's going to trim it down. He just treated himself, everybody. So you want to put it right there at that point. And the reason for that is because your thumb can cover the treat, which will prevent the dog from getting the treat. And with the dog being prevented from getting it, you're able to build a food lure. Now, the other thing that happens is this. It creates what I like to call the knife hand. So when your dog is getting a treat, they know for a fact when it's for them and when it's not for them. So by having the way you hold a treat different than any other way you hold food, you are literally preventing your dog from having accidental nips to friends, family, and guests. And then it also allows the dog to follow your hand. So when you're food luring your dog into different behaviors such as sit, down, come, heel, or any other positions that you may be working on, stand, that's one of the best parts about it. So it allows that kind of ability to go through it because the dog can smell it, they can lick it, they can taste it, they just can't get it. The other thing is that when the dog does eat it out of your hand, they're using their front teeth and their tongue, so they're not actually going to bite, hurt, or do anything to you as well. So I hope everybody enjoyed that little tip here. And what we're going to do is we'll ask if anybody around here, any tips, tricks, anything you guys are looking for? Well, we got it all. So you shoot what you want. We can add to it. He pulls really hard. Okay. Well, I see he's a talker. I guess he wants to be a guest on the show as well. I like it. Well, he's a guest. Let him know he's on the show. He doesn't have to worry about it anymore. So what Jeff can show you really quick is an easy drill. So with our leads here at Blue Line Canine, we actually use loop leads. And the reason for that is so that way it goes around the dog's neck and it prevents the dog from backing out or getting away accidentally. The other thing that most of the time we don't realize with harnesses in particular, harnesses are actually designed for pulling. Yeah. No, it's fine. We're just saying that they're originally designed literally for pulling. So if you ever see a sled team, right? What are they wearing? Harnesses. A horse got to pull a carriage. It's a harness, right? Everything that you see pulling, it's always a harness. If we need to carry a lot of weight, we wear a backpack, which is a harness, right? So with our dog, we want to be able to direct them because they're predatory creatures. So they're supposed to be out in front. They're supposed to be leading the way to keep us protected. So we want to be able to show them what we need. So in this case, if you don't mind, Jeff can put the loop lead on your dog. All right, so everybody listening at home, unable to watch, Jeff is putting a loop lead on the dog. That's one of our guests tonight. And he's going to show a little drill we like to call the Let's Go drill. Now, with the Let's Go drill, it's teaching the dog a 2-point command. And we learn this a lot of times in like military for marching and things like that. It's called a preparatory command and then a command of execution. So in a preparatory command, it's letting, let's say, the battalion know or platoon know that we're about to change something or do something. In this case, we're going to let the dog know that we're changing directions. So what we do is we change directions randomly, and we teaching the dog to start to follow us instead of the outside distractions. So when you get your dog to pay attention to you and not the distractions become completely irrelevant. So in order to do that, Katie, can you mind just move into place box real quick? All Jeff has to do, and this is what's funny about this, is that a lot of people think when you're teaching your dog, you need tons and tons of space. This is maybe 12-foot area that we have here that we're utilizing. And all Jeff has to do is start telling the dog, let's go, and change directions at random. And what you'll start to notice if you're watching live on Facebook or YouTube, you can literally see how the dog will start to follow Jeff the more he changes directions. So the more rapid Jeff changes, and he gets to pet the dog's going to start to see that Jeff is actually the reward. So he's going to start walking through, doing what he has to do. And even though there's a flash, there's another dog present, there's me talking, mom and dad are here, you'll literally start to watch the dog starting to pay attention inward instead of outward. So a lot of times people are always like, well, Mike, my dog's always so distracted. Well, here's the thing. Well, a lot of times when our dogs are doing really good behaviors, the things that we stop doing is paying attention to our dogs. So for example, if we want to teach our dogs how to be cool, calm, and collective, we need to reward our dogs for being cool, calm, and collective. So i.e., I come home from work, my dog's excited to see me. I typically get happy. I pet the dog remembers to be happy. But when I'm home already and my dog's taking a little nappy nap, what do? We creep by, don't disturb the dog, because we don't want the dog to bark, yelp, or do anything, right? What we want to do at that point in time, that's when we want to say, good boy, good girl, maybe throw a little treat to their stomach so they go, hey, if I'm laying on this rug over here, magical treats just appear. I want to repeat this behavior, because a lot of times we as owners only pay attention to our dogs when they're bad. So we want to change that. We want to make it where our dogs are looking at us as the reward, and doing the behaviors that we want them to do gets them that reward. So again, make it about your dog. Make it about what you want, because again, your dog wants to make you happy, right? That's the craziest thing to think about. Your dog is all about making you happy, making you the focus, and pleasing you, because that's what makes them the happiest the most, right? So again, if you guys are watching, you could throw comments in, ask us questions. If you want to know about any different form of training, thoughts, we have multiple trainers here tonight. Please ask away as we continue through here tonight. We're only 26 minutes into this. I definitely did promise 2 hours, so I'm going to do my best to keep this going. But I need you guys to be a little bit more interactive with me. Let's keep it going. It's up to you. This is the Ask the Trainer night. So let's get it going. As you can still see, if you guys are watching live, Jeff is training. What's your dog's name? Otis. Yeah. So there's Otis with Jeff right now working. And you can start to see how Otis is literally starting to partake to what Jeff is asking. And Jeff is not bribing, is not forcing, he's not doing anything, but getting the dog really into him. So it's really that point of building the value and building those things. All right, so look at that. Yeah, Otis is already ready to rock and roll. I love it. You can see the tail is up. He is perky. He is ready. He is wondering what is next. So we can ask Mom if Mom wants to try. All right, we're going to let Mom do a little try. So now Mom's going to be shown really quick how to use leash control. This way she doesn't get hurt. She has full control over the dog, and that way we don't have any accidents. Now, the leash that you're using is a 15-foot leash. This is one of my favorite leashes, because what I like to do is train the dog from a distance to choose me, not be forced to like me. So I like to start my training off by building my value in the dog and really showing the dog that I'm a main focus to them. So it's something I enjoy to do. All right, so it looks like we have some questions popping up here. It says, I have a question. My dog is obsessed with barking at our front door if someone walks by. All right, Michelle, let's dive into that one. So that is a great question. So the question here is, hey, my dog is extremely excited when other people walk by, and most likely this is probably not just your door, but also maybe a window. So this is like the fear of loss. So a lot of times people like to yell at their dog to cut it out. You don't want to do that. All right? Because here's the thing. Dogs are creatures of attention and affection. All right? So that means my dog is going ballistic out the front door because I have a big glass door, right? Do you have a solid door too? Yeah, both. Okay. So, all right. So we have a guest here at the Instill Distillery who is also having the same issue. So she emphasized in her scenario, her door is a big glass door. And then when they close their solid door, right, you have two glass doors next to it. So it's not really going to prevent, it's just going to move the dog to the side, right? All right. So here's the trick, ladies and gentlemen. This is the weird trick. One, if you really enjoy beer, what you do is you go to the beer store, right? You go to your liquor store, you buy a ton of 30 packs of beer. You take the cardboard sides and you tape them to the windows. That way, all your neighbors know what your favorite beverage is. That way, when they come over for the barbecue and they ask you what that is, you can tell them it's for them to bring you your favorite beverage. But no, actually, the trick is this. With Amazon and everything else that we have coming in, what you want to do is you want to block the windows. And you want to have one source for your dog to look outside. Once your dog starts to bark, go close that door or window. Block it. Once your dog is quiet, immediately remove that item so your dog can see outside again. What's going on is your dog is finding pleasure in barking at the item. See, from their perspective, what your dog is thinking is, hey, get away from my house, get away from my house. So when the person keeps walking past your house, your dog's like, yeah, you're welcome, mom and dad, kept everybody safe. Well, the first thing you have to do is sight. Then you go to sound, because once your dog starts, so he added to the question, which is, hey, what happens, there's a creak in the floor or there's a sound that sets the dog off. Worse on sound. You have to first start typically with the door or the vision. Because if you ever notice that typically when the sound goes off, your dog goes to the door. So that means your dog only knows the sound to the door, which means once you stop the vision, your dog gives up on sound. Right? Because here's the thing. The sound is a precursor to that, right? So if you ever hear a certain sound like 2 beeps on your car horn, you know somebody locked your car, right? So it's one of those things, right? But here, I'll give you a weird example. You guys look about my age. I bet you remember in the early 90s, this car is protected by Viper. Stand back. Remember that, right? And if you guys don't remember that, you need to YouTube it. It's a really good time. But it was a really popular car alarm that was out and about. And originally when that alarm came out, everybody got it. And essentially once you heard it, it would draw your attention right to the car and it would prevent car theft, right? Then maybe about 3 years later, this car is protected by Viper. You're like, man, that guy better shut that car up, right? You didn't stop. You stopped looking. Then every car now has these things called the panic alarm. And what happens? When the panic alarm goes off, you start cussing people out. Because instead of it working as something that would let us know that somebody's in need, we let it know that it's an annoyance factor. So now it's a precursor to somebody being lazy, not somebody being in need, right? So your dog hears the little crick in the floor or door or something like that. They run to the door. And if there's anything outside they bark at, they were self-rewarded. So if now they know every time they bark, you close the door, close the window, and they can't see, and they want to see, they're going to stop barking, and you never correct it. But you did, because you showed them there's a loss in a bad behavior. So instead of us correcting the dog, saying no, newspapers, squirt bottles, shaker cans, and all this other weird stuff that's half the time, by the time you go get it, the dog's like, all right, I'm stopping, right? And I like to compare that to one major thing. You ready? Because everybody can relate to this. You're driving down the highway and you see the state trooper. What do? You slow down. And then what happens when you don't see the trooper in your mirror anymore? You speed up. So now what happens is this. Did you really learn not to speed, or did you learn to avoid the trooper? Avoid the trooper. But imagine this. You ready for this, everybody? And I hope maybe one of our government agencies figures this out when I tell them. Imagine if instead of having red light cameras that give us tickets, we have red light cameras that give us rewards for not running the red light. What happens if there's a magical thing that takes a picture of my car when I didn't speed and sends me a tax relief? Man, I guarantee you there will be more people driving the right way and not breaking the law, because the chances of you getting rewarded are just as bad as getting punished. So that means you're like, well, I'd rather get the reward, because who doesn't want to save some tax dollars, right? So it's a weird way of thinking, but it's the good way of thinking, because you're able to essentially teach your dog a wanted behavior by letting the dog self-reward and self-correct. All you have to do is block visibility. Make sense? So it's a real easy task, real easy thing to do, and all your neighbors will know your favorite beverage. So when you have them over for a barbecue, they know what to buy. All right. You can do the instill bottles. You do the instill bottles, right? You put them there. Get the boxes from there. All right, let's see if we have a couple of more questions here. Let's see. How do you distract dogs who bark when someone comes into the home? Hey, okay, so Michelle asks, how do I distract a dog who's barking when somebody comes in the house? This is a great question. So normally what I would do is, if my dog immediately starts barking, and actually he's doing it right now, he's walking away. All right. So in this case, if let's just say somebody were to come in my house, I would have my guest step back out. And when my dog quiets up, I allow my guest back in. Your dog is only barking and getting excited because they want the person in. That's what they're doing. So if your guest, they want them in. So they're like, hey, come on in. Let me show you where the jewelry is. No, I'm kidding. They want them in. They give them love. They give them attention. Because if you think about it, when guests come over your house, they literally let your dog be bad. If your dog jumps up, they pet them. They give them snacks off their plate. They allow their dog to essentially get away with tons of bad behavior, right? So when you remove them, you're creating what they call a balance of loss. So if your guests step out back outside, your dog will calm down. They come back in. Your dog learns to control themselves, and it'll go away. Now, obviously, the older the dog and the more how often it happened, the longer it'll take to work. But once you make it happen, it's gone forever, and it's there. Make sense? So like right now, what he's doing is the same exact thing. So if you'll notice, the further he backs up, and the best thing I'll tell you, so right now what's going on is his dog is barking at the other dog that's practicing as if you're watching in the background. So if he backs it, just walk straight backwards. And what will happen is once his dog stops barking, he could bring the dog closer, and the dog will learn that if he's quiet, he can actually get closer to what he wants to get to. So we'll show him place in a second. Yeah, we'll show him that one. All right, let me see what else we have here. When your dog jumps up and knocks you down when I come home, how do you correct this? So, all right, this one's going to go out to, is it Allender? Yeah. So when your dogs come in and they're jumping up on you, what you want to do is a couple of things. Number one is we like to teach a command called place, which we're going to show you here in a little bit. But one of the biggest things that you want to pretty much do is you want to walk through your dogs and get to the place where you can pet them and show them where the greet is. So what I would normally do is I would walk through my front door and I would go to a designated spot where I'm going to pet my dog. All right. And then that's where my invisible dog would be. And I would walk straight to that spot and I would start petting the invisible dog. My dogs will learn to go to that behavior and they will literally learn to be quiet and sit there until I get done petting them. Now, the nice part about this is, again, when you keep repeating this, your dogs will start to see the consistency here, and that is what they're going to stay at the entire time. All right, so that's the nice part about it. So when you're thinking about it, your dog is going to go to that straight spot, and when they're going to lock in where you're petting them. So that's one of the key things that you want to look at and do with your dog. So, again, you don't want to address the jumping by correcting or doing something like that. So you want to make sure that you are walking through, okay? Don't reward them for jumping. Don't reward them for any of that behavior. And then find the spot that you want them to be. So that's where you can pet them and they'll understand where that's the spot to be. All right. So let's see what, yes, windows and outsides too. So Michelle, you're going to do the same thing that I was explaining to the couple here. Let's see what else we have here. Next one is, how do you turn down prey drive for chasing small animals and have your dog focus on you? So we have a few different methods on that one. In particular, when it comes down to, you never really want to kill a prey drive. You want to direct the prey drive. So that's where we start teaching the dog when it's time to play, when it's not time to play, and that's how you're really going to focus that one. A lot of times people home, they have dog toys laid out everywhere in their house, and when you do that, it creates a little bit of a problem, right? So you want that to be careful because you want to control your dog's drive. So when you leave toys out all of the time, your dogs get bored of the toys, and that's when their drive goes elsewhere. So if the dog toys are laying out, just like us, we're going to get tired of the same shirts, tired of the same TV show, tired of the same things around the house. So then we have to change it, update furniture, paint the walls, do things like that. Well, if your dog's toys are always accessible to them, you have to think about what they don't have access to. They don't have access to the squirrels. They don't have access to you. They don't have access to the kids. They don't have access to your guests. So those toys become irrelevant when those other things come around. So by taking the toys away and putting them away and having control of when they're allowed to play with them, your dog is going to be extremely excited when you bring them out. So all of a sudden, when you're like, hey, here's your chew toy, they're always like, oh. So you either have to jump on your guest or chew on the toy. But if they have only a 45-minute window to chew on that toy, they're going to enjoy that chew toy and they're going to give up the guest. So that's one of the big things that we have to look at, because again, a lot of times we're like, oh, Mike, I just want to sit down and enjoy my television show, but my dog is so ampy. So I took him for a 2-mile walk, but he only rested for 10 minutes. Well, yeah, if you took your dog for a 2-mile walk, you just build up endurance and stamina. So, because I've never met a tired athlete. I met tired people that are overweight, people that don't exercise. Those are people that are tired. But people that exercise, run, walk all the time, they're always like, hey, what do you want to go for a walk? I'm like, no, I want to eat a pizza. So there's a big difference in that kind of thing. So when you think of your dog, don't ever think in your mind exercising your dog by going for a walk or a run is going to bring them down. It's actually going to bring them up over time. So when you're trying to calm them down so you can watch television or enjoy time with your significant other, that's when you want to whip out that toy that they haven't seen in 24 hours or 48 hours. Because then they're going to be like, oh my God, I haven't seen Mr. Squeaky in 2 days. And they're going to sit there and they're going to love on Mr. Squeaky. And if they bring it back to you, they lose Mr. Squeaky. Because it's supposed to be a non-interactive toy. The idea is for Mr. Squeaky to entertain your dog, not to entertain you. So that's the big thing that you want to look at when it comes down to building that focus and building that drive to control, because that's what's going to control it. And again, if you're the one that controls the toys, meaning you're the one that brings them out, you're the one that plays with them, you're the one that dictates when they're allowed to do stuff, then that's how the focus is going to change from outside to inside. If that makes sense. All right. Let's see what else we have here. We have a thank you. Okay, so we have good question coming from Joyce. How do you stop a dog from barking while in a crate when you're not home? All right, so this is a really good one here. So a lot of times we don't ever take into consideration that our dogs need to build a crate value. So a lot of times the only time we ever use the crate is when we leave. So the problem with that is, well, Mike, we gave a dog the treat to go in the crate. I don't understand what the problem is. Well, the problem is simply this. The crate has to have just as much value as no crate has. So that means feeding your dog in a crate will build the value of the crate. And also because you're home when the dog is eating is another thing that's going to happen, is going to build that focus, right? So number one, feed your dog in your crate. By feeding your dog in the crate, it's going to build value, and it's going to build the attention that the dog knows that you're not leaving. So now the dog starts to say that the crate is a plus and not a minus. Right now, the reason why your dog is barking is because at some point in time, somebody's going to give your dog attention and start to reward your dog. And that's why you really want to figure out that best way, if that makes sense. So you eat. So to me, feed your dog in the crate. That way you're home when your dog is in the crate. That's going to build the value up. It's going to build the focus off of that you're leaving and build the containment area. Now, the other thing is, I'm sorry, I just spoke on the containment area. The other thing is that you want to put the crate in an area you spend the most time. So that, again, the crate represents when you're home and when you're not. Because you got to remember, if you leave the room and you come back in a room and your dog is barking, the barking is what brought you back in the room. So that's why you want to put the dog crate in a room that you spend a lot of time. Feed your dog in the crate. It's going to build a value and make the dog comfortable in the crate. This is why it's important. And a crate becomes a very happy, safe place. All right, let's see if we have any more questions here. All right, let's see. Yes, make a huge greet to an invisible dog. Yep, and teaches the dog to be on the spot. You got it. All right. All right, so it looks like we got all the questions answered so far from the comment section. So again, anybody watching, please feel free to go ahead and throw your comments up. We'll be happy to answer any quick questions that you may have, or that you're having, or if you're good to go, we'll see what we got going on here. So we had a couple other dogs come in. So how are you guys looking over there? Better? You feel good about it? Okay. We're going to show you a cool trick. Place.
With the
Place box. And that guy over there. Oh, that's not aggression. That's love. That's just a love Dotson. He'll try and bite. Okay. Okay. So Okay, so I got to explain everything what's going on real quick to the people watching, right? So it's how old is he? 6 years old, Dotson, full grown. And what happens is, so right now he's wearing a harness. So I know nobody can see him yet, but you will see him all if you guys are watching live. So he's a 6-year-old Dotson. Mom and dad are explaining that he gets aggressive. And what happens if you approach him, he will nip or bite or tag you in a form of aggression. Now, just so everybody knows, we're going to yell at dad here for a second because, so what's his name?
Gunner.
Gunner. Okay, so his name is Gunner. So Gunner starts showing barking and his tail's wagging, and he's trying to conquer Otis, right? He's seeing Otis over there. He's barking. So dad picked him up. Now, I'm going to give you guys a prime example of what just happened there because I know you're all wondering, like, well, what's the problem, right? Like, that's what anybody would do. Well, here's the thing about it. Ready? What dad did was dad became the girlfriend holding that guy back at the bar. That's when his arms are out. And he's like, you're lucky he's holding me back, right? So he just made Gunner into a Great Dane in his mind. So he just made himself huge into this scenario. All right. So what we're going to do is we want to put Gunner into one of our loop leads. And this way we gain control of his head. All right. We can have dad do it. It's no big deal. All right. So dad's going to go ahead and he's going to put him in a loop lead. Wait, after you have the loop lead on first. Yeah. Perfect. We're going to snug that one little clip right down so it doesn't fall off of him. Good to go. Now from there, you're going to see that our trainer, Jeff, right, our head trainer down here, he just took control over Gunner. And now all of a sudden, Gunner's wondering where did dad go? And we're going to teach him a little command called place. And in this case, we're using a phenomenal product that is from Blue 9 Pet Products. This is an amazing tool. I have to say this is probably one of my favorite tools. If you watch any of my shows, you know I shout out to them. I am not sponsored by them. I just really love this item. I've used it for many forms of boundary training, agility training, physical rehabilitation, mental rehabilitation for aggression, and you're going to see it work tonight. We teach a command place. So in this case, you just saw him. If you guys were watching, Jeff was able to remove the legs to lower it down to the ground so Gunner didn't have to jump up off the ground. In this case, he's still going to give him a physical boundary, but in what we're going to do is Gunner's going to learn that every time he gets on the box, it's going to be good, love, attention, affection. He's allowed to He's allowed to bark all he wants on the box, but off the box, he's going to be directed back on the box. So Jeff is going to go ahead and put gentle pressure straight to the box. And once Gunner's on it, he's going to get rewarded. So in this case, right, Gunner's reward is actually going to be barking at Otis. Now you're like, well, Mike, why would you allow that to be the reward? Well, because Gunner really loves barking. He wants to be the dominant dog. So all Jeff has to do is start to guide Gunner straight to the box and hold steady pressure. So once Gunner gets onto the box, he gets immediate relief. So once Gunner goes on, yes, good boy, it's relief. So now Gunner is saying, hey, I'm 6 years old. I've never had to do this before. I was never told rules. Dad just picks me up so I can bark at a height because dad is 6'1", and I'm his muscle. So this is what's going on now. Gunner is fighting tooth and nail to say, I don't have to listen to the rules. There's no pain compliance. We're not physically doing anything that's hurting him or showing those things. What we're doing is showing him actually how to get rewarded. So now Gunner gets relief, and he's like, wait a minute. I don't understand this. I got on the box, and I get relief. So now, all of a sudden, he's starting to discover that the box could be a positive place because what's going to happen is he's going to get on that box, and he's going to sit there and go, Otis is going to come to him instead of him go to Otis. And that's going to be a really nice thing right there. He's got pet. So now he's nervous because remember what mom and dad said earlier is that Gunner is not the friendliest to other people. So this is where Gunner gets to learn that this is a good, happy place. So right now, because Gunner is not necessarily all about strangers, what we can do is we can have mom or dad come over and give lots of pet to Gunner because he is now on the box. So mom's going to come over and give him lots of love and kisses and say that what he did is good, but she can't touch him if he's off the box. So right there, lots of love, lots of love, lots of love. Right? And now you hear Otis in the background barking at Gunner, and Gunner's like, wait a minute. Something's wrong here. So boom, then he comes off the box. Jeff's going to put him back towards the box. And pets, 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 pets. So the biggest thing here is that, as you can see, is the box now represents love and attention from mom. So anything he comes off that box, he gets put back on the box. Love and attention comes back. So now you can start to see, if you guys are watching, how Otis is starting to turn, and when he gets on the box, he immediately looks to mom because he knows that mom is going to be the reward. So he brings up, and you'll see him turn around, and he's waiting for the attention. Boom. There he goes. The nice little attention and affection. And boom, he goes back. More attention and affection. And Otis, if you're watching live, you can see Otis is right there. He hasn't changed the area. And again, what we're going to do is, as we keep progressing through the night, Otis and Gunner are going to wind up passing each other. But the only thing is, Gunner is going to have to do it while he's on the box. So then when Gunner is going to learn that he has to be able to control himself and remain on the box so he can address the anxiety that he's having. But this is where all that love and attention. So they're going to keep practicing as we continue to see what we have questions here live coming up. Let's see. We have a question from an Ashley. It says, when I take my dogs to work with me, she works at a vet clinic for 10 to 12 hours a day, and they feel bad that they're home without a potty break. They bark nonstop until I finally give in and go see what's going on. Is there any way to help them out? Yeah. So Ashley, let's think about that one. I'm gonna reread that one and explain to everybody again. So what Ashley does is she works at a vet clinic, and she works there for about a 10 to 12 hour day. And when she brings her dog there, her dogs get overly anxious and they start to bark. And what happens is she will go to check on them, and suddenly then essentially they're learning to bark, right? So she wants to know is, how do I stop it? Well, a couple of things you can do, Ash. One would be is you schedule the time when you go in. So the first time what's going to happen is, most likely if you go into I'm going to have to ask you actually a question, Ashley, if you're still watching. When you put them in there, do they immediately start barking right away, or does it happen after like an hour or 2 hours? I'm just going to need that question. The only reason why is the tip is going to change based on if there's a timeline difference or not. We're just waiting, and I'll get you guys pop up the questions right now, but I want to see if I can get Ashley to answer that one. So Ashley, I don't know if you're still watching, but I'll give you the answer. So basically what you want to do is you want to have a set time for your dog. Dogs, even though they don't read your clocks, they don't read watches, they don't do any of that kind of stuff, they immediately, okay. So what you want to do is you want to put them in their crates when you walk away, and what you want to do is you want to start going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. As they're quiet, okay, a lot of it's coming down to is your dogs are going through the immediate response. So most likely somebody's either talking to them, or you're talking to them, or you're leaving, telling them things are going to be okay. So you want to stop all communication. There's a number one saying is that you never want to name it until you love it. So that's a big thing, comes from Michael Ellis. So that's a thing that you want to look at. So you never want to talk to your dog to calm them down until you like what they're doing. So that's a way of thinking about it. So if I put my dog in a crate, I'm going to wait a little while. The second they stop talking or barking, I'm going to reward them. Normally what I would do is I would feed them their breakfast in the crate. So the days that you work, I would bring the food with you, feed them in that kennel that you're utilizing at work. So then that way they're going to have to be quiet during food time. Then what you want to do is at a half-hour point, go back to them, take them out, walk them, exercise them, bring them back in. They'll start to realize that you're creating a routine with them at work and allowing them to put the energy that they're burning during that timeline. So that's a really good way of doing it. You got to show the dog the consistency. Now, I know you're also at work, so it makes it hard, but a lot of times when clinics like yourself, if they have a barking dog that they know that you're working on controlling that, they'll typically make accommodations to allow you to make sure that you can get your dog out on a timeline, especially if it's scheduled. Like, hey, I'm going to take the dog, I don't know, let's say you get to work at 8 o'clock, you're saying, hey, I need to work the dog at 9, and then at 10, 11, so forth. A lot of times they'll make the caveat to help you get through that so you can be successful in keeping your dog quiet, lowering your dog's anxiety as well, because that's also helping the other dogs and cats and animals at the clinic lower their anxiety. So that's the tip that I'm going to give you for right now. There's more stuff. So Ashley, if you try that for a couple of days at work, if you don't see anything, please feel free to reach back out to us. We have more tips. It's just that we don't want to overload you, making you mismosh them. So try that one first and go from there. Let me see what we have back here. What is the best way to train your dog who is super excited when they want to go outside, not to bark, jump, push their way in and out of a door? Awesome. Okay. So this is a drill that we like to call waiting at the door. So there's a little bit of a trick to this. And that trick is that you don't want to block the door. What you want to do in this case is you want to start moving the door rapidly, open and closed, without moving it wide open. You want to just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, moving it a little bit, and each time it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And what's going to happen is by you staying out of the way and just moving the door, you're going to start teaching the dog that as the calmer they get, the further the door opens. So as they get calm, they're literally going to be self-training to calm down and allow you to just simply open the door carefully and do that. A lot of times we get really frustrated because we start asking the dog to sit, wait, stay, and then we get mad because the dog is super excited to get outside, because you got to remember the reward is going outside. So that's really what you want to do, is calm the dog down by showing them their behavior is the key here. So as you guys, real quick, as you guys check out, Gunner is doing really, really well. Mom's even walking with confidence right now. You can see how Gunner is now going to come over. She's going to say place, and she's going to put him right onto that box here in a second. Perfect. Look at that. And look how happy Gunner is becoming as she's starting to learn that boundary, because he's starting to know that that box is that happy place. So again, getting into that door, again, it's called the wait at the door drill. You want to stay out of the way, open and close nice and fast. Once your dog's calm, you open the door and you tell your dog outside, and they'll naturally sit for you. All right, let's see if we have any more questions here. I have a Husky that likes to slip the harness and run. What can I do, or what can I use to keep him from running? All right, so Brandy, this question goes out to you. Number one, it sounds like your harness is too big for your dog. That's number one. So if your dog is slipping the tool, that means your tool is way too big. Now, so for me, as earlier in the episode, we showed you guys a loop lead that we make here at Blue Line Canine. I highly suggest purchasing one of those. If you can't purchase one of those, I would highly recommend you get a custom fitted, or make sure that the collar or harness tools, whatever you're using, is fitted to your dog properly so they can't slip out of it. A lot of dogs, well, once they learn that they could slip the tool, they're going to always try to get the tool because it's self-rewarding. I mean, getting you to chase them is literally fun. It's activity. It's enjoyment. So, I mean, who doesn't want to play catch me, right? So that's one of the things that you want to think about with your dog, is you want to make sure that your tools are properly fitted. And that's why we really recommend our loop leads to get started. So, because what will happen is, as you can see with Gunner, if you're watching, or with Otis, if they try to back out, or if they're having their hissy fits, all you have to do is stand there and wait. They calm down and they realize that their hissy fit's not going to get them a win. Just a second ago, Gunner just started barking at Otis again, and Mom put him on the box and showed him that he got petted, and the barking stopped. So this is really where you want to look at that kind of stuff, is doing that. Going back to Brandy, she says that he also pulls when walking. Best advice to keep him from pulling. Hey, Brandy, listen, when this show is over, there's a drill we call Let's Go. We actually we did it in the beginning of the episode. So when the show is over, or I don't know if you can do it live, or if you go back to the beginning of the show, it's like the second or third thing we showed tonight. But it's a drill called Let's Go. Otis is in the background. He's working on it right now. They're taking a little bit of a break. But it's a little drill where you teach the dog to look in instead of out. And you do that by changing directions in a small area rapidly. So you're constantly changing the direction. So it's getting your dog to focus in on you and not out and about or anywhere else. All right. So that's sort of one of those big things that you want to try there. But again, you guys could very easily just, again, for something like that, we're going to have this uploaded later to YouTube. If you go to YouTube, BLK9 TV, it'll pop right up for tonight's episode here at the Instill Distillery. So it's the best thing I could tell you is to try that one. Is you have to show that drill. Let's Go. It's explained in the beginning of the episode visually. So Jeff actually shows you how to do it. See if I got another questions here. Lee, the same thing. How do you stop a dog to pulling on a walk? The whole stop and wait. Oh, that's a great one. So here's the thing. stopping a dog. So if a dog is pulling and you say stop, sit, wait, that does not calm a dog down. You're literally telling the dog to be a ratchet, right? I'm going to let you keep conquering ground as long as you stop every 10 feet. That does not teach the dog not to pull. It's teaching the dog 10 steps, sit, 10 steps, sit, 10 steps, sit. The let's go drill is teaching the dog to follow you at your pace, because by you changing directions rapidly, it's teaching the dog that they have to constantly check in with you in order to find out the direction that you're going. So as you teach this drill, you'll start to add more and more same directional pace and be able to get your walk. The other thing, everybody, you got to look at this. When you're going for a walk, if you're going for distance and exercise, you do not need, okay, this is important to realize, you do not need to walk in a giant circle to get your dog to do this. You can walk in what I like to call a zigzag pattern. So when you come out of your home to walk your dog and you make a left, go only the distance of maybe one residential house or one small distance, and then turn around, go past your house, and do the same thing the opposite way. And the idea of this and going back and forth and adding small amounts of distance is that you're constantly changing directions and you're passing your home, which doesn't allow the dog to figure out when you're going home. So when you can't figure out when you're going home, the dog has to pay attention to you. They cannot figure out what's good, bad, left, right. They can't figure out when the halfway point is. They can't figure out when the dogs are going to be up because you're constantly changing the directions. So you don't have to do a sit and wait. You don't have to do a sit and stop. You just have to keep momentum, keep moving. If you can't figure out where I'm going, what I'm doing, or when I'm stopping, then you essentially have to pay attention to me. And if you're paying attention to me, you can't pay attention to your neighbor's dogs. You can't pay attention to cars. You can't pay attention to anything else causing the anxiety and the barking. So that's going to help you the most right there. And again, go back and watch the beginning of the episode where we demonstrated the Let's Go drill. How do you get dogs to stop barking at fences as people walk by? This one's easy. Bring them in the house. It's that. I know, Mike. Come on, really? It's that simple. Yes. Here's the thing. If your dog is in the yard barking and you bring them in the house, you've essentially just told the dog a loss. Then the second they stop barking outside, you let them back outside. Once they go back outside, guess what's going to happen? They're going to bark again, and you're going to bring them back in. Then you'll let them back out. And when they realize that they get to stay outside as long as they're quiet, you will stop the barking. See, the thing is they're finding something or someone to bark at. And if they miss out on that opportunity because you brought them back in, they didn't get to enjoy and watch the dog do this. And that's something that you have to take into consideration when you're training your dog. The rewards are there. Rewards aren't always treats. And that's one of the big problems that we have today is that everybody thinks that a reward has to be a pebble, a food, a biscuit, something along that. And it's not. It's far from it. A reward is something that we want. A reward is something that makes me or us or anything like that feel good. So a reward to me tonight is you guys participating. Nobody needs to feed me or give me a biscuit for me to feel good. What's giving me an awesome feeling tonight is seeing how many people are interacting with us as I'm doing a very long show tonight. And I was just a guest on Drinking Brothers Tailgate Legend. So this is literally my second show of the day, and it's pretty warm down here. So we got people working dogs. I was training this morning, and what's making me excited and keeping me going tonight, giving me the energy, is you guys asking questions, being interactive. So think about that if you were your dog. The people who your dog is guarding your house from is giving them a reward because they're saying, stay off my property, get away, be back, get back. And as those people leave and get away, they're essentially learning that their barking saved your life. It kept them off your property. So think about it along those lines. You don't want to tell them no. You just want to bring them inside. Once they calm down, you put them right back outside to enjoy it. All right, so we have another question. My dog essentially is barking at the television. Hey, this one's really easy. Change the channel. Click, 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 click. Right? I mean, it's literally that easy. It's an amazing thing. If you really like the show, for example, if you're really watching one of those like dog training shows or something like that, you pause it because most TV people, most shows now are all pausable. They're all on demand. They're all something along those lines. But you change the channel, and then you immediately go back. So the second the dog calms down, you go back. You go forward, go back. Go forward, go back. Again, it's all the same stuff. And when you really think about training dogs, it's all about the psychology of the animal and really putting it together in that way. It's lining up, making it easy, making it fun for the dog, and really showing them how they can get what they want if they give you what they want. So that's sort of the key to it. So the comment back is now it's impossible because every commercial or show has a dog. Yeah, you're right, because everybody loves dogs. So maybe click the channels very quickly until you get back to your channel. So when I was a kid, when we had commercials, we used to go through the channels really, really fast. So then we tried to find another show to watch during the commercial breaks. And then when that show went to commercial, we went back to the other show, right? To try to find two shows to watch during commercial break. So in this case, what you want to do is just the channel warp. But what I would honestly do is pause the channel. So it's really just that simple of either A, turning the TV off, or pausing it until they calm down. And when they realize that the pause is not going to be unpaused until they're calm, then it's that simple. So you can turn off the TV or you can pause it. Is one of the two things the easiest way to do it. All right, so it looks like we are a little calm now. We got an hour and 5 minutes in tonight's episode. This is, again, really exciting for me. I'm totally loving everybody's interaction. I want to see if we can maybe get through the next hour, some more interaction. As you guys can see, Jeff in the background there, he's still working with the clients. He's still working with some dogs tonight that came out to the Instill Distillery. And I got to say, going back, so Instill Distilling Company is here in the Clayton area of North Carolina. Really honored that they were able to host us tonight and also have me on as a guest on the Drinking Brothers, Tailgate Legends. I believe they spiked my drinks. I just asked for cheer wine, which is a North Carolina made soft drink, cheer wine. But they are putting their rum in it, which is a phenomenal thing. So I hope everybody's enjoying their drink. Just out of curiosity, since we stopped with some questions for dogs, what is everybody drinking tonight? I was just out of curiosity. Is everybody enjoying a little beverage tonight as we talk dog and train dog and enjoy our time at the Instill Distilling Company? Let's see, everybody. We got to get you guys all lively. You're not commenting tonight. Well, we actually are commenting. We just got to get you back into it. So here's the fun part. I get to start coming up with new stuff here. All right, fine. We got the comments coming back. Yeah, we like it. All right, so my dog is very active. He loves to play and sniff things out. Other than walks, what are some activities we can do indoors to distract him and wanting to chew things? All right, this is a good one because Easter just finished. All right, so this is one of my favorites because it's the easiest thing that you guys can do. As they sell them right now at the dollar store, little Easter eggs. And what you do is you go get some high-value treats, and I highly suggest this, guys. You go get some high-value treats, okay, and you put them in the Easter eggs, and you go and you hide them throughout the house. Then you tell your dog to go find them. So what's going to happen is your dog has to use their nose to find those treats, and then you're going to have to, and then you easily just open up the treats, put them on the floor, and let them get rewarded. It's easy peasy. So every couple of hours, you can either hide them. I would suggest you do it every couple of days, where if the dog goes out, or if you put your dog in our canine country club or something like that, you hide the treats that next day, you hide them out there, and it becomes an adventurous game for your dog. You could do it in your backyard. You could do it in your house. So it doesn't matter where. The Easter eggs are extremely cheap. And obviously, you can even use their doggy kibble. So you could take some of their meal and put it in there instead of putting high-value treats if you're watching their diet. So it's a very easy way of doing things, and it allows the dog to be a dog. It's allowing them to use their nose, and it gives them mental and physical exhaustion simultaneously. So it's a really fun way to distract your dog during that time, Lee. So go ahead and try that. I think you'll really have a good time with it. And kids love hiding the eggs. It makes it really enjoyable for them. So make them all part of it. Make the family a part of it. It's a really good way of doing things. All right, so we have another one here. My Bichon is growling at others when he's sitting on my lap and has snapped at others who don't heed his growl warning. How do I stop that? Hey, this one's good. This is actually a really good question because There's so many people that come across me and they're like, listen, Mike, every time I'm holding my dog barks, growls, sniffs, does these things to other people. That my dog is showing possession aggression, right? So my dog is possessing me and I don't like that. So how do I get them to stop? Well, it's really simple. Don't let them possess you. It's a really neat trick. So in this case, what I would do, because your dog is being territorial of you and possessing you, what you do is you can either A, stand up, taking your dog off your lap, and don't say a word. Sit back down. And then when you invite your dog back up, if they bark or growl at that person, you do it again. When your dog starts to realize that every time they bark or growl or snip or snap or any of those things at somebody, they're going to lose the privilege of sitting on you. Now, all of a sudden, that's going to go away. Does that make sense? That's really going to be one of your big solves, and it's an easy way of solving that kind of an issue. So I'm going to highly recommend you try that. All right, it's an easy thing to do. All you have to do is stand up, and that's it. Because again, what your dog's reward is you. That's what your dog is trying to hold on to is you, and that's what they're being possessive of. How about chasing cats? Oh, great one. So this one's been going on, actually, I would say all weekend long. Everyone's been asking me, how do I get my dog to stop chasing cats? You really have to let your cat and dog establish the rules of the house. You got to give your cat an exit strategy and allow them to perch high. So if you can get your cat either a, whatchamacallit, it's going to click on my head here in a second. What is it? Not the floating shelf. What is the cat? Yeah, cat tree. A cat tree is what it is. So what you want to do is get your dog a cat tree. All right. So that way what your cat can do is get to a higher level. And as long as it's braced enough to where the dog can't knock it over, that's really where you want to be. Ashley, nice drink. I like that one. Everyone's getting some drinks out tonight. I'm actually joining. This is the first time I actually drank. The second time today I'm drinking on air. But this might be a new thing. I think we're going to have dog talk and rum. I think it's going to be a new show thing that we might do to all the things. Especially if we get some of this cheer wine up in Maryland. So, yeah, so what we want to do is you want to give the ability for the cats to get away. So that way your cat can check out your dog. Because remember, cats like to when they hunt from an aerial position. Dogs hunt from the ground. So that's one of the things that you want to look at over there. So again, we're giving them the ability to do that kind of stuff. So giving them the ability to get out and be that way is a good idea. So I'm not sure. So somebody's put a great idea or yes. So I'm curious, is that yes and great idea to the drinking during dog talk from now on? Or is that a great idea about the cat having a cat tree? I'm not really sure. Yeah. So yes, your guy, Jeff, does look busy back there. I'm loving it myself. Jeff, since he's not on the air, his nerves are, if you guys notice, if you're watching him live right now on our Facebook, Jeff is actually relaxed. So this is a shocker because Jeff has been tense since I got down here. So we had we were at the Ideal Home and Garden show. So Jeff has been very tense and nervous. Now that I think he hears me talking about him, I think he's getting tense again. Yep. Yeah. So he's been really tense since I showed up in the RV at the Ideal Home and Garden show because he's been nervous. He had to talk to a lot of people. It was his first time ever working at a home and garden show. But after the show, he was really relaxed. He enjoyed the time teaching people, giving free dog training tips while we were at the show and helping people. And now you can see him right there in his element, working with dogs, helping people. So if you guys are in the Raleigh, Clayton, Gardner area, please give him a call. You can reach us at 1-800-266-2365. Join him on his Facebook page at BLK9 Raleigh. You can also continue to watch us at BLK9 TV. And as we come out with more and more phenomenal things. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make somebody else completely uncomfortable, and I'm going to have Katie go ahead and turn the camera back over here, and I'm going to have Katie come over and put the headset back on a little further, right there. Perfect. So we can still see Jeff. We can see everybody. So she's going to come and join us because Katie has started our Train the Trainer course over the past 5 days, and she has been doing some amazing things and learning some things. So we're going to get some feedback from her as, you guys got to meet her earlier. She's down from Wisconsin, and that's a big thing. So Michelle, thank you very much. To tell you the truth, we don't have anybody in the York County, PA area. We do go up there once in a while for in-home training. But if you want, we are actually starting to build out locations. So we are starting franchising. As you can see, we're down here in Raleigh. So, you know, if anybody watching, listening is thinking about becoming a dog trainer and is interested in joining the Blue Line Canine team, all you have to do is reach out to us. You could send me a message here and we can discuss possibly getting together and opening a location near you or with you in your area. So, you know, it's definitely an opportunity there if you're looking to get into becoming an entrepreneur and growing. So it looks like looking back at some of these comments here, it looks like the drinking part is something that needs to be added to the dog talk. So it looks like we had a lot of cheers and corrects and yes to the drinking. So I guess what we'll probably wind up doing, if I'm going to bring drinking in, then I think what I need to do is go ahead and bring guests into the show more often and start doing it in front of more of a live audience. So I think if I'm going to do that, I think that's going to be the key. So yeah, again, Michelle, Gianna, please let us know if you know anybody looking to become a dog trainer. Have them reach out to us. We're always looking to expand and build our knowledge base out there because we're always looking to help more and more people and their dogs. So if anybody you know that's looking to become an entrepreneur and join us, please feel free to have them come out to us. Now we got Katie on the air here. So
No pressure.
all right, yeah, there's no pressure here, none whatsoever.
I wasn't told I was going to be on.
Katie was supposed to just help out with the cameras tonight. So again, her and Jeff, they suffer from this thing called stage fright. So
Even though there's no one in front of us.
nobody you can see. There's literally on the other side of us. There's nobody. There's nothing whatsoever.
There's a fan.
There's a fan blowing on us because I was sweating profusely outside as we were filming the other show because the other show is tailgate legends. So we had to be outside tailgating, and in North Carolina today is not. It's hot, and wearing multiple shirts and being chunky is not it's not the ideal weather for a big guy like myself. All right, so we got to welcome Teresa Fisher. Welcomes you to the team. So this is a really big one for you because Teresa's been with us since 2011. So that's an awesome.
Oh yeah, I've heard great things about you, Teresa.
All right, so now Katie, let me see. We got a couple of comments popping up here. My other dog will pee inside. Aims directly towards the crate door when he's only does it when he. All right, so let's see here. I'm going to read that one back out loud. Sorry. My other dog will pee inside, tries to aim it directly towards the crate door when we place him in it. When we leave the house, he only does it when we leave. If we put him in the bathroom, he does not pee. How do we stop the pee in the crate? There's a couple of things. One, you can add cranberry powder to his meals. It's a little bit of a supplement, and what that does, it'll actually help him flush out his system, so that way when you put him in a crate, he can't be spiteful. The other neat thing to do is, again, as I said earlier, is you feed your dog in your crate, and it builds the value of the crate. Because right now he probably and I'm guessing here, Lee, that I have a weird feeling that your dog is probably eating in the laundry room and not eating in the crate. And the crate only means when you leave the laundry room, it might be something different. And I'm just guessing that at this point in time, and the only reason why I'm guessing that is just based on the behavior that your dog is displaying. So we always want to build the crate up to be a neutral position. I call it the yin yang. So if you always put the dog in the crate when they leave, or you're going to bed, or as a punishment, then the crate's only a negative place. If you do it the other way, then your dog is learning it as, a neutral position. Okay. And that's how you have to do it. You always want to keep things as a positive, negative. Feeding your dog in a crate is going to make it into a positive place as well as a negative place when you leave. So that's a good thing. Mike Walker. Yeah, I'll bring you some of that. I'll definitely bring you. He texted me, Mike, I got your text. I'm probably definitely bringing some of this home. Absolutely. Let's see here, Michelle. We have a tech who does training with positive reinforcement, but I would love to learn and help as well. Are fear-free. So, Michelle, tell me a little bit, I guess, where you're located. I think that was the one. That was the. You're up in Pennsylvania, right? I think. Is that the one? Sorry, there's a lot of comments coming up. I'm trying to track them all. Michelle, biggest thing is if you're trying to learn more and do more, absolutely. Positive reinforcement is the key to dog training. Really, when you have to find what drives the dog and use that in the sense of everything. The biggest thing when you're training dogs is to find out what is the drive of the dog when you're trying to do things. It's not about the tools, saying yes or no to tools, but it's about working the dog to what best fits them. So that way we can keep dogs in their homes and not have to rehome them, rescue them, or put them down. That's the kind of key. So Michelle, please feel free to send me a message. You can send me an email at support@bluelinek-9.com. That's support@bluelinek-9.com. Feel free to send me an email. I'll be happy to discuss getting you some more education. We have big plans here at Blue Line Canine, as well as we're opening different locations, franchises, as we try to expand and get out there. But this year in particular, we are looking to also offer tons of education at our location here in Maryland, as well as down here in Raleigh, where we're going to hope to put on seminars, bring people in that just want to learn how to do things. So, make sure you're on all of our Facebook pages, Instagrams, so that way you never miss out on any opportunity to get there. Like this month, we're doing our Star Wars tag, right? So if you post a picture of your dog or post a meme of your dog, so all you have to do is you can even just, what do they call that when you take the dog? What is it called when you edit the photo? I don't know. You edit people's photos, make them into memes and stuff like that. So if you take your dog, make them into a Star Wars meme, and you tag us at BLK9TV, BLK9 Raleigh, or BLK9MD, you will be entering to win, okay, more training. That's the cool thing. So that's the kind of thing. You can literally be entering to win either free training, discounts, merchandise, anything that we're giving away. We're going to have a big giveaway, and every time you post a picture and tag us is going to be entered to win. Photoshop.
That's it.
Thank you, Teresa. Photoshop is the answer there. So I guess you get a pat on the back when I get back. We're going to give you that one. All right. So you used to work at Churchville. You used to learn exams. Yes. Okay, so you're now up in York, PA. Michelle, please send me a message. I'll be happy to sit down with you and discuss how we get you more education to help out there, or how I could come up and maybe even do a seminar or educational thing for the entire clinic. We don't like to charge for those things, so we really like to go out there and get the education out. And what we could do is if your clinic is interested in this, we would be happy to have them as a part of our show at Dog Talk. So what we would do is we would go up to your place and we would educate everybody and give a shout out to your clinic and market them as well on our show here with Dog Talk. So let me make sure I get all the other answers. Did I get the other one? Yeah. My dog eats his crate and lies. All right, let's see. My dog eats in his crate and he lies in it when we eat. And he's okay when we are not home. If we leave the house with him in the crate, he pees in it. How do we fix that? All right. So something like that, it sounds like your dog is doing that out of either anxiety or spite, and that's going to go back into that cranberry powder. So remember, that's where you're going to want to make sure that all the water, you make sure your dog goes out and eliminates before you lock them in the crate before you go out. That way they're going in there on a empty stomach or empty bladder, right? So an empty bladder, so you're not really having any accidents. That's where you want to start to prevent some things like that. So looks like we caught up on most of the questions there. So if anybody has any more questions or anything like that, go ahead and keep them coming in. We'll be happy to check them out. But I'm going to ask Katie some real good questions right now. So Katie just started our Train the Trainer, and she's been watching, learning, implementing some things over the past few days. And I have to ask Katie now, right? So now she's like, oh no, right? Because here's the funny thing. So I started doing what I like to call death by PowerPoint. And the reason why we did that is, I'm down here for a limited bit of time, so I had to give her all this information. And, it was funny. It was because she got to see me work with a dog. She got to hear me explain everything. She got to see how it all gets put in place. And then over suddenly, what happens? She gets the PowerPoints. And I have to tell you this. I saw a eureka moment when her face goes, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. Absolute explosion, because we started teaching her about things. Real quick, sorry, I'm going to interrupt to answer their questions. Cranberry powder, it's very similar to like drinking cranberry juice as a female during, let's say, a UTI. But if you go to Amazon, they sell cranberry powder. It's like $15. It's a little food supplement for dogs. And what it does, it just helps eliminate or flush their bladder, so that way they can't hold on to anything, and it helps prevent dogs from marking because they have absolutely empty bladder. That's all it's going to do. You can buy it on Amazon or any eBay, whatever. It's not that expensive, and it's a very little bit that you would add to their food. Don't do cranberry juice because that will flush your system. All right, so now we're going to get back into Katie real quick. All right, Katie got tons of PowerPoints. Katie got leash control. Katie had to work what I like to call the invisible dog, but in her case, she actually got to work the climb bed. So she was teaching today a climb bed, a climb item. So this is really neat. So she had to work this climb into a heel, come, sit, right? She had to do all these positions. And I have to ask Katie, how weird is that?
It's super weird.
Right?
It is. Well, we obviously learned I don't have stability. I rolled my ankles a few times, but it was very odd because you have to turn the place board or whichever object you choose into the dog, and Mike makes it look so easy. But yeah, I definitely had to work through that.
Yeah, talk a little bit closer to the microphone. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I can hear you better now. So I know she was a little shaded out on that one. You can actually see your microphone line right there, just in case you were wondering.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's a pretty neat thing is this. When we train our trainers, one of the funniest things about it is, you hear me tell you guys all about this invisible dog and how you have to pet the invisible dog and get your dog to go there and how all you have to do these things. And here's the funny part is our dogs are constantly reading our body language. And we learn that in Clever Hans, when we learn about Clever Hans. Remember Clever Hans, right?
Yeah.
So we learn, she definitely is not going to forget Clever Hans.
No.
So Clever Hans is a big thing for me. And it's a neat thing that really put it together is because when we learn how to get ourselves in the right muscle memory, in the right positioning, and the right things, our dogs follow suit. And as she says that, Mike, you made it look easy. And here's the truth. I didn't make anything easy. What it was is that I took the time to learn how to get the inanimate object to behave the right way. And here's the funny part is I was able to take this inanimate object and make it do all these behaviors. As in when she turned around and she's like, this doesn't make any sense. And the funniest thing was, this is the worst thing in the world, as funny as this, is that when I worked the invisible dog and I didn't even have the climb, all right, based on my postures and the way I gave the commands, Katie, what dogs did you see?
I saw about Malinois, the working dog. I saw a little tiny dog terrier, and I saw a lab.
So she literally, and this is dead serious, right? She literally told me she physically in her mind saw me working a dog that did not exist. Yep. And it was because my muscle memory of working a dog was so in tune that you had to believe the dog was there, because there's no way my body would be doing those things if the dog wasn't there. So her brain said, she's not crazy, there's a dog there. When the reality was, no, she's crazy.
Yeah.
There was no dog there. There was no dog there. So Teresa even says that her invisible dog was one of her worst that she's ever trained. Hey, it happens. It's a crazy thing to think about. But anybody that's ever worked for me as a trainer and they did the academy, they had to learn the invisible dog. They have to work the invisible dog, because we don't want to mess up dogs when we're training. What we want to do is work on the things that are not going to be affected. That inanimate object of doing those things, it's going to get our positions in place. And when we get those things lined up, and we do that through how, Katie, do you remember? What is it called?
Ask the question again.
So why am I repeating this? What kind of conditioning is this? Classical conditioning. So if I repeat my behavior, then it becomes muscle memory. I don't even know that I'm doing it. I just do it, right?
Yep.
And that means when I get the dog involved, I can focus 100% on the dog and give that dog all my time, attention, and thought process, and get to the reason why or what is causing the dog's behavior to be that way and fix it. So this is why we train our trainers this way. We take the detailed time to not just get a dog and get it to sit. It's not as simple as that. We teach so many different things. Katie now knows about classical conditioning from Ivan Pavlov. She knows about operant conditioning, right? Now, how many of those things did you just never thought was a part of any of this?
I wouldn't have ever put two and two together if you never told me.
Now, you're somebody that literally grew up with dogs.
Yeah.
Dad was a police canine instructor, still is a canine instructor for the city of Raleigh, North Carolina. Yep. So he's one of the main instructors down here in North Carolina. He's, and I can tell you right now, I've met her dad a total of, I think, 6 times now. And the man is extremely impressive in his knowledge. Hands down, he's very articulate when it comes into what he's talking about. He really knows the answers to what he's doing. He knows exactly how to get the dogs to do certain behaviors. That it's pretty amazing. You can have a really in-depth conversation from years to present day, different methods, different cytologies, everything you could think of. And the thing is that here she's growing up with this man, learning all these things. And with our program with Blue Line Canine, what's nice about being a part of this is that we even got in further in depth in something that she was already there. And I got to say, it's an amazing thing as we break it down. We get to the psychology end of it and not just positive, fear-free, and all these sales pitches. We're getting into the psychology end, which is the why and the how, not just what's presented on the marketplace. So it's one of those things that you got to remember. There's so many ways to get things done, right?
Right.
So let's say, what is now one of let's say one of the biggest things that you could take away. So you're looking back on the past 5 days we've been here, what is one of your biggest takeaways?
Biggest takeaway.
Biggest takeaway. What do you think has blown your mind the most?
I would say just seriously, like the psychology of it. It always wraps around in a circle. Like you were saying, almost anything, not even dog training wise, comes back to the psychology. Actually makes me want to go and learn more about the psychology and like of dogs. And so
I just motivated an RN to go back to school to get psychology degree.
You did. I was working with humans that could talk, and then I came to dogs, and I'm 10,000% with it.
All right. So do you have any other questions out there? We're getting ready for the last half hour of the show. So if you guys are out there watching, you have any quick questions, thoughts, concerns, we'll be happy to answer those questions, or we can get into some more of the training that she was going through. I can start telling you guys a little bit more about our Train the Trainer boot camp. Which we will hopefully, I'm looking to put that actually online this year. We are in the process now of putting it in our Dog Owner University, which is a phenomenal way of getting in there. So if you guys are looking to get some training, we have Dog Owner University, which is a do-it-yourself program online where you can reach out to trainers if you have quick questions and thoughts. Comes with all the equipment necessary, so it's a pretty cool option right there. And you can check that out at blk9dou.com. So it's an easy way to get on there. So if you guys are interested in that, if you are looking to get your dog trained by us, you can also reach out by our phone number here at 1-800-266-2365, or at any time go to our website at bluelinek-9.com. And always, we're live on Facebook and Instagram. So we do offer. So where are you located? I don't know where you're located, Mrs. Dot. So you would have to let me know where you are to let you know. We do offer obedience classes at all of our facilities. So it's really just a point of making sure we're, I guess, near you. We are bringing back our group classes for puppy, probably in the mid-May into June. So, oh yeah, you're in Abington. So you can do either one, BOWAG or our other facility. So you're in our Maryland location. So yeah, you can go to either one of those. We'll be bringing them back. I'm personally looking to teach our puppy classes starting at the end of May into June. That will probably be at the BOWAG location. That's where I'm really looking to do it at because of the outdoors. So that way we can keep our social distance and keep our dogs trained and everybody can be happy. And then we'll also have classes going on. We're also bringing back our open training for anybody that does our ultimate program. So if you are a part of if you were a graduate of any of our platinum programs, you can probably join us back starting May. So the second Wednesday of every month, we're bringing back open training, which will be free to anybody that's ever done our platinum program. So that way you can come back, get some practice. So we have a lot of things coming back. So absolutely, we do group classes and obedience classes. It's just really bringing it back. You know, obviously with COVID and a lot of restrictions, it's finding the right way and the right means to make sure we can train the dogs safely and keeping everybody at the proper places that they need to be. So that way nobody gets sick, injured, or ill in those things. So that's a good thing. Your dog is 4 to 5 years old. I would honestly tell you the best thing to do, because you probably wouldn't go into our puppy class, obviously. You would probably look to our ultimate program or a novice program where we can do one-on-ones, things like that. So the best thing for you to do is if you can go to our website, you can fill out a form, and we'll be happy to talk to you, or you can shoot me an email at support@bluelinek-9.com, and I'll be happy to discuss all the options with you to get you what you need to help you with what you're looking for. So again, you can reach out to us at support@bluelinek-9.com, or you can go to our website, fill out a contact form at bluelinek-9.com. Be happy to help you and get you connected that way. All right. So let's get back into bugging you, Katie. All right. So your biggest takeaway is the psychology end of it. And one of the things that I really enjoy myself is teaching aggression. And I think this one of the funniest things is and I think the reason why I like teaching it so much is because at one of my slides in the PowerPoint of aggression has all the different style of aggression listed, right? You know, possession, territorial, fear, dominance. It has them all listed, right? And the funniest thing about it is that the chart has what displays and how you can tell the difference between all the different aggressions. And it says bark, growl, shows teeth, spiked hair, and bites. And it was so funny because it's like my favorite slide to teach, because I actually go, if your dog is dominant aggressive, it's going to bark, growl, show hair. And I do the whole thing, and I leave it, and I go through the whole thing. And I love watching, even when if I teach one student or I teach 20 students this PowerPoint, it is the funniest thing because all of their faces go, huh? Because every single one is a check. It's a yes. That means every form of aggression will show the same sign. So everybody always calls me up as a behaviorist, and they're like, Mike, my dog is territorial aggressive. And I'm like, okay, why? And then they tell me that list, and I'm just like, okay, so you established as a non-dog trainer all of these things about your dog. And then I'm just like, and the reason why is because you saw those behaviors. And then what happens, they'll come to me and I'll be like, your dog is bored. And we'll teach them a couple of games and the dog's aggression disappears. Or I work with them to do other behaviors. I mean, there's true aggression out there. I'm not going to say there isn't, but Katie, after you saw that PowerPoint and you saw how it all builds and everything like that, right? Would you say that PowerPoint was one of the most eye-opening PowerPoints? Never mind the psychology, but I mean, like when you really had a thought in your mind about aggression, and then it was when you look at that, right?
Yeah, because there's really only...
There's 4 types, right?
Yeah.
But how do you learn the difference, right? It's their animal's behavior, not their warning mechanisms, right?
Yep.
So that was one of the things that I think, and Kate, I know I'm throwing her on a spot here. Just to let you guys know, she had death by PowerPoint on Monday. That was yesterday. So her brain is still fried. Her and Jeff were both literally telling me they got headaches with the amount of information. You got to see their notebooks. Their notebooks, they had like single subject. They're full, absolutely full. It's tons of information that they're getting proofed on. There's written tests. There's everything that we include in this program. So it's literally a no joke scenario. So we really get into it and knock it out. But so it's a lot to take in. And when I have to say is like, so now that you've gotten to work, there's a dog down here that we got to work with. His name is Colt. Kyle. No, his name is Colt. His name is Colt. So what I've learned now is that apparently down here, when you are a man and you are a Karen, apparently. Kyle. Yeah, it's a Kyle. As you can hear, Jeff's gotten a few drinks in him. He's happy now. Look at him. He's excited to be here. He's got some dog training underneath his belt. You can see he's excited. He's relaxed. Finally, we're doing good tonight. So there he is. He's creeping now. Look at him. I think he's gonna hug me. So I think he's a great guy. Let me tell you, everybody. So it was funny was because they kept calling this dog Kyle, and I'm like, I'm thinking in my head that the dog's name's Kyle. So I walk over to the dog, and it says Colt on everything. Everything's Colt. So I'm starting to call the dog Kyle, and no, his name's Colt. And I'm like, what? So then they had to explain to me that what a Kyle is. So essentially what we learned from Colt was he actually wasn't aggressive, was he?
No, he just enjoyed a game.
He enjoyed a game. So what happened was Colt really enjoyed attacking the crate door when you go to close it. So it wasn't that he was aggressive, wanting to hurt you, wanting to bite you, or doing anything like that. What it was that Colt learned a long time ago that when he attacked the door, he was able to stay out of the crate, or nobody enforced any rules on him. So what happened was what we did was we started showing him that if he acted properly, which is cool, calm, and collective, that we were going to allow him more and more freedoms outside of the crate. And then if we let him close the door, that he was going to get more and more rewards that way. And by the end of the time frame of working these things, he started to calm down, understand what we needed him for, what we needed from him. And we were able to explain these drills to his mom and have her and her son reinforce those at home and help solve this problem, which this problem could have led and escalated into more things, because a lot of times we don't realize what we are actually teaching to our dog. So it's really neat to think about something like that, because how often do you realize that your dog is constantly studying your behaviors, constantly watching and learning from you, and you don't even realize those unwanted behaviors you're accidentally training in your dog? So in this case, this dog, Colt, was literally learning to bark, growl, and snap at the crate door. He wasn't really trying to hurt anybody or do those things. He was just doing this because he found it to be pleasurable. So when we gave him a different offer to find pleasure, that's what he decided to do, and that's what he focused on. So that's one of my favorite things to do with the dog, is to find out their pleasure and show them, by giving them what I want, I can give them what they want. And it becomes an equal balance and a yin-yang effect, creating harmony. So we have another question. So a puppy, so when you're thinking of puppy classes, the question is that what do I consider a puppy? My dogs are 95 and 80 pounds, and they're 8 months old. So reward-based training is the #1 go-to with dogs under 6 months. When dogs get older, we have to test temperaments to see what's the best method at that point in time for the best results. A lot of it comes into, if you learn the systems, it doesn't matter. You just got to figure out what's going to be the reward for the dog. So in your case, I mean, puppies to me, I consider every dog a puppy, because I never ever want to change the dog's personality. So one of the things that I always say is that we fall in love with our dogs because they have phenomenal personalities, and I would hate for any dog trainer out there to make my dog go into a robot mentality and ruin that, because that's what makes them awesome, is the ability to laugh, joke, enjoy them, and have a good time with them. So I would really hate that to happen. So in your case, I mean, at 8 months, your dog really is still a puppy. So if you wanted to come up and join us for a class, that would actually be a possibility. Or we could send us an email again, and we could talk about it. Again, support@bluelinek-9.com, and be happy to help you out. So we got 20 minutes left. If anybody has any last minute questions, feel free to ask them away. We're getting ready to close up here as the distillery is getting ready to brew some more brew, and we're going to go and probably finish up some drinks and enjoy this great night, as it's still early here in North Carolina. And early, I mean, it's 7:41, but we're at a distillery. So this is fantastic. So again, I want to give a quick shout out to Instill Distillery for allowing us to come in here, enjoy their place, enjoy their drinks, having us on their show tonight with the Drinking Brothers Tailgating Legends. It was a true honor to be a part of that show. It's a veteran-based organization. They're the owners of, I think, Black Rifle Coffee, I think it is. Some whole list of veterans on that organization. And I gotta say, it was a true honor to be a guest on that show. I can't wait for it to air so I can share it with you guys. I think that show got me pretty tipsy and pretty open and honest. So yeah, I don't think I held back on that one at all.
No.
Yeah, I did not. If you really want to know something raw about me, that was probably the show. They have it all on recording. It was definitely me wide open right there. So let's see. Ashley asks, do you all work with dogs that get nervous around skateboard, scooters, rollerblades? Does exposure always work? Yes, Ashley, we do work with that. Matter of fact, at our locations, we actually own those items. So while we're working with the dogs in our day group training and our day training, we call the Canine Country Club, or one of our programs, we can slowly start to introduce the dogs to it, getting them desensitized to it. And then as they get desensitized to it, they accept it into their environment, because that's proper socialization. You can then bring them around the kids. The hard part is taking a dog that's nervous around it and putting him at a skate park or something like that. Those kids are high drive. It's not fair to them to ask them to calm down and slowly get that introduced. Here's the big thing. I learned this a long time ago, is if you want to go swimming, the best way to get yourself into the pool is one toe at a time. And what that means is this: when you jump into a swimming pool, right? Some people say if you just jump in, it's easier to get used to the temperature. The problem is that your body core temperature has to remain the same. So when you jump into the pool and just get it over with, as they say, your internal organs have to work overtime to get your body temperature re-regulated as fast as possible. And you'll notice that the people that jump into the pool to get used to this, get it over with, as they say, typically get out of the pool first. And that person in the shallow end that only put one toe in, then put the foot in, then put the other foot in, and took their time getting in the pool can stay in there all day. And that's because they didn't burn their energy and calories just getting used to temperature. So that's a good way of thinking about it when you're thinking about desensitizing your dog to stuff that's causing anxiety. You really can't just take them someplace and throw them in the deep end and expect a difference just because you do it a lot. If I don't like something and you make me do it a lot, it doesn't make me like it. It makes it worse. But if you only had to deal with it, for example, let's say fireworks, and I was miles from the fireworks, and then over something I was only a mile from the fireworks, and then I was 3/4 of a mile from the fireworks, and then I was a half a mile, then a quarter mile, and then no miles. It was a lot easier than if you just threw me next to the fireworks. So you have to think about building that kind of stuff up. So you really want to take your time when you're training your dog, ease into it. Remember, they are thinking, living, loving creatures as well as we are. The thing is that you don't want to humanize them because they don't have the ability for comprehension. But what they do have the ability for is living, learning, repeating. Okay, so that's the thing, is they want your attention. They're living for your attention. They want to make you happy. So that's the thing, is that you have to be careful when you're giving that in that timeline, because any attention to your dog is considered a reward. So when you're doing that, and you might think you're correcting or you're helping by saying, it's okay. But what you're really doing is telling your dog that you like them to be anxious. You like them to be that way. What you want to do is when you see your dog as being anxious is to get them out of that area. Let them calm down, bring them slightly closer to where you see that that nerve is not fully there, but it's there. Once they get comfortable, you take another step forward. It's the easiest thing. Remember, one toe at a time. So, as I always like to say, and Teresa literally just quoted stuff that I live by, is I work hard to be lazy. So if you put the work in now, you don't have to put the work in later. So as anybody that's ever been around me, I like to tell you that I'm the hardest working lazy man out there. And one of the things that Katie even found out too this weekend was that I will do anything to make me not have to do anything or everything later. So I will bust my butt today to not have to do it tomorrow. And that's the biggest thing I can tell you guys now. Put the time in now. Build the confidence in your dog. That way you get to enjoy them for their life instead of living in fear, anxiety, and everything else out there. So we're going to give a couple more minutes to see if we have any more questions. If not, we're going to get ready to sign off and just let everybody know, if you are down here in the North Carolina, Raleigh area, we are getting ready to open up our location in Garner. And I know it sounds like I'm saying a D, but for the record, it's just a Cheerwine. That's my excuse. They've been yelling at me all the time. It's my Yankee accent. That's the first time I heard that one. So it's a Garner, Garner. At least my
N-E-R, yeah.
N-E-R? Yeah. So I spelled it right. I just can't say it right. But either way, it's Garner. Their new location at the 4042 behind the Lowe's. And it's going to be opening up here in June. I'm going to be really excited. But currently we're out working outside of the Clayton area, right around the Instill Distillery. So if you guys are looking for some dog training and you're living in the Raleigh area, please feel free to give us a call at 1-800-266-2365. You can also check us out on the website at bluelinek-9.com. If you are in the Maryland area or anywhere else in the United States watching this show, you can check us out at bluelinek-9.com. You can follow us on Facebook at BLK9MD, BLK9 Raleigh, or you can watch me on all my podcasts and watch me as I travel, educate, and teach at BLK9 TV, as I'm your host of the most, getting out there and doing all this kind of stuff. And now I'm getting really giggity. This Cheerwine is definitely spiked. Having a great night here. I'm really happy that all you've joined us tonight. Big shout out to my boy Jeff down here for really taking it to the next level, educating people down here, and really spreading the word that education is the key to dog training and keeping dogs in their homes. Katie, thank you for joining the team. It's a warm welcome from all of us at Blue Line K9. Welcome aboard. We're happy to have you. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for watching tonight. Oh, Ashley says she's very excited about the location. She met us at the home show this weekend. Ashley, it was awesome meeting you. I don't know, obviously, who you are right now at the top of my head, but thank you for coming and meeting us at the show. I can't wait to see you at the new location, and we can't wait to see it all there. DJ White, thank you for recommending our training. Actually, DJ is a graduate of our Dog Owner University, so if she's liking it, so you will be too. She's a Dog Owner University participant with her puppy, and she lives out in Minnesota. So you can see that anywhere in the United States, you can get a hold of our training and be a part of our programs and really grow and educate yourself as we get out there. So I'm going to sign off a little bit earlier because my drink is getting low and I want to get over to the bar and have a nice night. So everybody, thank you for watching. I hope that you all get to join me tomorrow for Stuck in the Truck. It's going to be at 8:45 tomorrow, and we will be in my RV since I'm on the road. So it's going to be Stuck in the RV, but it's actually Stuck in the Truck is the name of the show. Join me for Stuck in the RV tomorrow as we give you a little bit of hope to get over this hump day tomorrow. All right, guys, you all have a great night. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.